Welcome to TC and the Wolf, a brand new podcast featuring the Reverend Tom Chandler, a talented but slightly disgruntled music producer, and Nick Wolf, a singer, songwriter, and technology wizard. Important note, everything we say here is a joke and only for entertainment purposes. Do not take this seriously. The opinions expressed do not represent the views of anyone else or any companies we may be affiliated with. Make sure to subscribe, like, follow, and share. And as always, drink responsibly and make sure to tip your waiters.
Hello, everyone. This is Reverend Tom Chandler. I'm here with Nick Wolf.
What's up? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. So this podcast came about just with us sitting around talking about there's a lot of things in life and in entertainment in the music business and, just stuff we want to get off our chest, kind of express, some opinions, have a conversation about a few things. And today, what were we thinking, Nick? We're going to get into a little spooky season talk, yeah?
Halloween is right around the corner, Tom.
That's right. And have you ever had any experience with the paranormal or supernatural?
I've only had minor perceived experiences. I never really had the full Monty, the full enchilada. I want a ghost to be talking to me, but I haven't gotten there.
All right, but have you been creeped out, seen anything, had anything weird happen, like sleep paralysis, anything that would lead you to believe that there's something beyond this world?
A little bit of ephemeral presence, nothing I could really describe in detail, but it sounds like you have.
Oh, no, I've had something that's it's pretty unbelievable, to be honest with you. And I started thinking about this recently because it's been a number of years since it happened. This was back in, set the stage here, it was 96 or 97. So it was a long freaking time ago.
Shout out to the 90s.
It was the best time ever for music and movies, and fuck you if you disagree. So, this was an interesting thing because I didn't believe in ghosts or the supernatural or anything like that before this time. I had, even growing up in Salem, Massachusetts, I had zero experience with anything weird, ghostly, or anything like that.
Ghastly.
Yeah, and it was shocking to me and disturbing. And what you're going to learn from this story today is that ghosts are not always scary. They're just sometimes super annoying. And
ghosts are people too.
Apparently this one I think used to be a person. This is probably a what they call a residual haunting, as opposed to a demon encounter or some kind of other being situation. But it started off. This was a weird time. So this is probably about January, right after the first of the year, and about, like I said, 96 or 97. I don't remember. The situation was this. I was going to college in a small town, and Cedar City, Utah, which is really teeny tiny. There's about, 3,000 to 5,000 students at the school. It wasn't a huge school. So what happened is I moved out of my parents' house. I lived with a bunch of buddies in largely what was a frat house. There was 5 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a bunch of dudes and their girlfriends, and everybody crashing out. We lived on a street where the Sigma Chi and Sigma Nu guys were nearby, so we could party, hang out. And this was just an odd time because I was one of the few people, everybody was kind of from California or from Chicago or something that I lived with. And I was the only person, I found myself the only person home in the week leading up to when school would be back. So I was working, I was playing guitar, I was practicing, doing a lot of sleeping, having a couple friends over, but it was largely me alone in the house for a week-long period. And this is the first time I saw it manifest.
What was the school, by the way?
The school is at Southern Utah University.
And you went from California to Utah?
No, I went from Boston to Utah, then to California after.
Oh, I see.
So I've been out here now 25 years or something. But before that, I spent about, between 16 and 26 in Utah, largely.
Was this a music school?
No, but I majored in music composition. I minored in communications. So,
Okay.
Yeah. And so interesting stuff about this. So I'm working a job at a fast food place that my friend's parents own. A few, maybe 30 hours a week or something like that. So this is one of the days where I didn't go in for the morning shift. I was going in for the night shift. I had a room that was down a set of stairs in the basement. And what was strange about this day was it was about 10 o'clock in the morning when the quote unquote haunting first started. And I didn't think it was a haunting for a number of reasons. Like, all of a sudden I woke up to what sounded largely like someone running around the house upstairs, like feet pounding on the floor. And it sounded like a little kid kind of stomping around. Like if you were doing those big like steps to pretend you're like a giant walking when you're like 5 years old. It sounded like that. And it kept like speeding up and slowing down. And we had a spot upstairs where the living room and kitchen was divided by a wall. And it sounded like it was running a circle, like serpentine, around that area. And it kept going. I was like, who's fucking upstairs? Like, what's going on? So I get up, I go upstairs, I look around, and there's nobody there. And I start looking to see if anyone had been there. I was trying to see if the doors were locked. If all the doors were locked, all the windows were closed. There was nothing I could discover that was in the house or causing this noise.
Sounded like someone running?
Running, like a kid doing like a jump kind of run situation, and it would speed up and slow down. I was like, I started going, hey, who's here? What's going on in the house? Like, who's here today? What's going on? Who's back? Nobody answers. So then I go back downstairs about 10 o'clock in the morning, go back to sleep, put on a movie. 20 minutes later, hear the running again. Hear drawers start opening and closing, like with silverware in them. Opening, and then I haven't seen anything. I run back upstairs. I'm screaming, who the fuck is here? What's going on? And I'm getting frustrated. I'm looking, I'm checking all the doors. I'm checking everybody's windows. I had keys to everybody's rooms. I go in and look in all the rooms. There's nobody there. It's just me. And then nothing. And this is what was strange about this situation was it would come only at weird times. And just as you were getting scared by it or annoyed by it, it would disappear for 2 months. And then something would happen again that was super strange and super fucked up.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What was the time of year again when this first happened?
January 1st, like right after the first of the year. It's right before school would start again, like on January 10th or something like that.
And then it would happen roughly every 2 months after that?
Well, no, it would, for this first week, this is the time when I heard the most stuff. And the second thing that happened was I was downstairs, I was playing guitar, and I'm playing pretty loudly and having a good time with my amp on and everything like that, playing some licks and things like that, recording a couple things here and there. And all of a sudden I heard somebody run down the stairs of the basement by my door and jump and like jump and plop down. I open the door immediately looking for who's here, and there's nobody out there. I start looking around. It feels like cold and kind of fucking weird in the air. I was like, this is really strange. So I closed the door, and then I heard somebody run back up the stairs. And I saw no one in my friend Sarah's room next door. There was no one in the bathroom. There was nothing on the same floor with me. So this was all really, really fucking weird. And that's about the only time that happened. Then we fast forward like a couple months later when the second set of things started happening.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you a little bit of a personal question,
Sure.
Tom? Were you possibly using any narcotics around this time, perhaps?
I was not. In fact, this was at a time in my life where I hadn't even drank or smoked or had sex. Like I was
You're pure.
I was a pure kid, and I was literally just 100% consumed by music at this point. All my time was
the good life.
No, that's what it was. Like I literally I didn't even really go to school very often. I would work only hard enough.
I didn't even go to school very often.
Really, I didn't. I was a horrible fucking student. But I went to all my music theory classes, things like that. And then I would go home and like dig in twice as hard, like on those parts of my life to really, I spent like an entire 2-year period listening to nothing but classical music so I could understand everything about it. And then I spent another whole year listening to nothing but jazz and buying only those records to learn how to play and do that style, good for my major so I could like pass like my composition vinyl for jazz and things like that. So I was really just overly consumed by music. So that wasn't a focus. Yes, I had friends and we partied and we did a couple things here and there, but like that was going on in the neighborhood, but I never used any drugs, nothing like that. I think I maybe just started drinking beers that year, like for real. That was like it, but that wasn't.
It's probably the Natty Light at that Utah college, dude.
It was this shit called Red Dog, bro. Did you ever have the Red Dog?
I don't think I ever had it. I saw people with that.
And it was the cheapest, shittiest fucking beer you could get. 32-ounce glass bottles. It came in, and you could buy an 18-pack for about like $15.
Ladies and gentlemen, we figured out what was going on. He was drinking Red Dog. It was making him see paranormal activity in his house.
Oh, no. And so, yeah, nothing happened for a while. Then I think we might have got to spring break because I remember being largely alone again. And I had a friend named Laurel who I'd known for many years, and she knew my family and knew, all the guys in the house. And she would show up, come over, hang out. We'd watch movies, talk shit, fucking, do the normal college type chill kind of things. And one day I go upstairs and I unlock the door for her. And I went back downstairs, started working on some music again. I said, yeah, just when you come over, come in, I'm downstairs. So Laurel walks in my room. She comes down the stairs, walks in my room, and she's just like pale as like a ghost and like weirded out. And she's like, is your brother here? Because my brother's about, like, at this time, if I'm 20 something, he's like 13 or 14 or something like that. And I go, no. And she's like, then who's that fucking kid upstairs? I'm like, and I go, there's a kid upstairs? And she's like, well, I mean, maybe 10 years old or something, but he's like looking out the back door window into the backyard. And I said, hey, Scott, because I thought it was your brother, but no, he never turned around. And I just came down here and he said he's wearing like some weird getup. Like, I don't know if he's like doing something for school or what is it. And I'm like, well, nobody's here, dude. It's just me. So we go upstairs and we look all around the fucking house, everywhere. Nothing.
So now a second person has seen something unusual.
Has seen something unusual in the house. And this continues on. There's a few more people that we get into with this. And it progressively gets kind of worse.
Was she also drinking Red Dog?
No, right. She was not. Oh, that beer was so bad. God, it was a lager. It was heavy. I don't suggest that to anyone. It was rough.
We do not endorse Red Dog on this podcast.
No, it was pretty terrible. Now I'm trying to think of like when the next time something happened. Oh, this is what it was. I was home alone one afternoon, and I heard a large kind of explosion upstairs. Something that sounded like a slamming on the ground and a spilling of metal. And I couldn't figure out what it was. So everybody was home, so I didn't have any keys or anything like that, so I couldn't tell what had happened. So I'm looking around, I'm looking to see if there's silverware on the ground. It sounded like bang and something like that. And I was like, really strange. And I heard it up above me, so I went upstairs to like investigate, see what was going on or who dropped dishes or like what it was. Didn't think anything of it. Well, my friend Jay came home later that night, found in his room, he had one of those large, remember the plastic Coke bottle that you put change in back in the day?
I've seen that.
He had that thing like 75% full, and it was turned over and smashed, and all the coins were all over the floor.
The thing broke?
No, it didn't break. Just the top.
Oh, okay.
Top was off, and it tipped over, and all the change was all over the floor, and the door had been locked, and he had been gone. So we have no idea how that tipped over either.
Do they have seismic activity in that part of the world?
They do occasionally, but when it does happen there, it's like a big aftershock from here or something. And like, I remember like when Northridge happened, I woke up in the middle of the night and that was about like 94 or something like that. And it was seismic enough that the house was shaking and like I had a rack of tapes that turned over. Like it shook enough to do that for probably like.
Shout out to tapes.
Remember tapes? What the fuck was with tapes? I know this is off topic, but like, who decided that putting something on a small, tiny plastic metallic format that degraded in the first 6 plays to absolute dog shit was a good idea?
Doesn't happen that fast, does it?
It's pretty fast, dude. Like, and depending on like if your heads don't get cleaned on the tape machine often enough, like within 6 to 10 plays, you hear like big reductions from 7K and up till like I had an Iron Maiden Live After Death tape that eventually just turned into nothing above 4K in the entire.
I do think it is pretty hilarious that it's like a naturally degrading format. you know?
Yeah, I mean, and you could argue
Disintegrating.
That you could argue that vinyl's that way.
Yeah.
But if you treat vinyl good and you're not jumping around with it or something like that, it will last a long time and largely sound pretty good. But this was like, tapes were bad, man. And early CD players in cars, that was a piece of shit too.
You know, it's funny because I was actually thinking you were going to wax a bit nostalgic about tapes, and you proceed to basically shit on tapes, which thwarted my expectations.
Well, here's the thing. Tape in the large format. So like say you're in a recording studio.
Oh, like 2-inch tape?
Yeah, if you're on
stuff?
2-inch tape, yes, you can hit it pretty hard. It will warm stuff up. It will round some peaks. It's a nice effect, and it can be used for lots and lots of layers and lots of takes, but the tape's a lot thicker and a lot more sturdy. And you would have to really fucking hurt a tape and maybe do like 65 takes over the same thing to start to hear the degradation and things like that. But it really comes from magnetism and the magnet chewing the material off the tape as time goes on. So
is your beef more with recording studio tape or cassette tapes?
Oh, cassette tapes for sure.
Okay, that's what we're talking
and here's
about.
the other thing. Back when I started recording, this is funny. So I was one of the first people to get like an 8-track tape cassette machine. And how they did this was you would take the cassette tape, put it in the machine, and rather than record left, right, it would record that on the sides. And so you could go left 1, left 2, right 1, right 2, right 3, right 4, right 5, right 6, 7, and 8. So you would get literally like 8 lanes of tape you could use on that tiny ass tape. And let me tell you about degradation.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like say you recorded a drum set and you used 8 mics for it. You could then bounce it to 2 of the tracks.
Right. Ping pong.
Yeah. And bounce it down. So like we would get pretty good recordings, believe it or not, back then by doing that process, but you had to really commit and know how you wanted shit to sound because there was no going back. So.
Well, this could be its own episode, I think. But it reminds me of stories of like the Beatles had like on some of their things, like literally 4 tracks, you know, to make a record. And then they had to do the ping pong and bounce down. Or then later you get to Queen doing Bohemian Rhapsody on tape, where there's this legend. I don't know how true it is or whatever, but they talk about they did so many takes because there's all those operatic parts and whatnot. Eventually the tape's wearing out. They had to like take the tape off, and I think if you bake the tapes, it kind of brings them back to life or something like that.
That's more like guitar strings. Like the tape, what will happen as it goes long enough will start to like lose the magnetic material off of it. So they were talking about on the Queen record that it was almost clear. Because they could see through it, which is bad, meaning that the degradation is, and every time you did that, that's why, do you remember the Oral Exciter and like the Sonic
Aural,
Maxima?
A-U-R-A-L, not O-R-A-L.
Not oral. No,
oh my God.
Not that. It was basic. That was invented so you could literally do bounces and maintain the high end. Do you see what I'm saying? So you would crank the high end. So when you did a bounce, it would retain integrity of the top end information. So that's largely why that device.
We thought about calling this podcast Integrity of the Top End, but figured it was a little too esoteric.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So back to haunted materials and what happened there. The next thing in this haunting spree was about a loss of some keys. And when I saw Paranormal Activity 1, with the part with the keys flying off the counter, this really affected me in a traumatic and bad way.
And you saw this after you had these other experiences?
Yeah, this was like 2011 when Paranormal Activity came out. This was like 96 or 97 or something like that when this was going down. So I had a set of keys that had every key to the house, every key to my car, everything. And I would always put my keys, as you know, I'm a very clean, organized person. I'd put stuff in the same spot every single day. So I would leave these keys on a part of my dresser or in the same part of the kitchen like area to where you'd hang the keys. I would do that every day and only leave them in those 2 places. Never would it go beyond that. So one day I got up and there were no keys. And I couldn't lock the house. I couldn't go to work. And so I went to my roommates. I'm like, guys, stop fucking around. Like, where's my keys? Like somebody took them or somebody hid them or somebody like... And they started fucking around and going, oh, you're very cold right now. You know, and I'd walk around and go, warmer. And they'd be like, no, just kidding, dude. Like, we never touched them. Like, everyone said they had no idea. So This goes on for weeks, bro. And I have to get all these keys. I have to get keys to the place I work. I have to get all these keys fucking remade. And I have no idea where these are. One day, I'm in the basement. I'm watching, I think it was like Goodwill Hunting. I got like a screener video of that.
Nice.
I'm watching that in my room, and I hear a jingle. I hear the sound of like when you're trying to get your kid to pay attention to the keys or the dog to pay attention to the keys. And I was like, shit, what is this sound? And where's it coming from? And then I realized it was coming from the bathroom that was kind of unfinished in the basement that we had. And it was crazy because it would be like, shinka, shinka. And I'd be like, what was that? Sound like a tambourine or something like in the distance. So I go looking around. And because this bathroom was unfinished, there was stone for one of the walls in the basement. Like it didn't have any material or wood or anything over it. So I was hearing like a quick like reflection of the steel, like of the cement and the metal sound. I was like, okay, so I start looking around everywhere. And I walk into the bathroom and I hear it jingle again. And I looked where the jingle came from, and it was hanging on that little thing that's underneath the drain of the sink, where you would pull down on the drain, and it has the angle that meets. It was on that little like screw that's back there that harnesses the pull on the drain to the plunger of the drain, and the keys were hanging on that.
Whoa!
So I'm not sure how they were jingling, and I'm not sure why they were in there. And this was 2 months later, dude. Like,
after the keys were gone.
I had replaced every key I had. Everyone said, we didn't fucking take your keys. And I thought, I'm a dumbass. I lost them, or they fell out of my pocket getting out of the trunk.
There are a lot of plausible reasons why the keys would be gone.
But there's not a lot of plausible reasons for the keys to turn back up with a audio signal as to why the keys were there.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you saw Paranormal Activity 1, you saw a scene
where like they were sitting in the kitchen and the keys got slapped off the kitchen counter.
Were you triggered?
I was triggered. I was like, oh God, that happened to me. And it was wild though, dude. I can't even tell you and I was annoyed because I paid a lot of money to get all the keys to my job, to get the keys to the truck, to get the keys to my parents' house. Like all my keys were gone. My storage unit, everything. Like I had to get everything.
That's just a pain in the ass any way you slice it.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And then if a ghost did it on top of that, whew.
But I can't conjure how a person would have done this at that time.
Well, one question that popped in my mind, which I think I know the answer, but did you get the keys fingerprinted? That would have been interesting.
No, I did not.
Because what if your roommate like Miguel or somebody had done it and then you
just to
found
be fair,
him?
There's no one in Utah named Miguel, but anyway.
Okay, well that's a topic for another day, I guess.
No, but it was just weird. And then the next progression of this was, I think it was 6 months or a year later. To be honest, it was a long time. I had a new girlfriend named Renee, and she would stay over pretty often.
Hot.
She was hot. She was. And honestly, let me tell you what, fantastic sax player, fantastic oboe player, clarinet player. She's a fantastic clarinet player and fantastic alto sax player. One of our teachers at the university ruined Renee's playing.
Wow.
Ruined her. She was perfect. When I first met her in her freshman year, and this was probably 96, 97 of college, she had the most fantastic vibrato and the most fantastic legato I've ever heard on clarinet or saxophone. It was, and I'm crushing hard.
That's saying something.
Yeah, I'm crushing hard on her. For this fucker that was our music teacher for woodwinds ruined her by taking all the vibrato away and making all of her shit really clunky in between, when her style was perfect. And granted, maybe it wasn't the best for fucking classical music, but for jazz and for pop, dude, she would have had...
Zap the soul? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, took it all away when literally the first time I heard her, it was perfect. You could hear pain and joy in the notes. She was
She was like the John Coltrane of the oboe, dude.
Not the oboe, it was the clarinet and the saxophone. I fucked up when I said oboe. It's the wrong instrument.
I was going to say, I have a hot oboe player story, but we can save that for later.
No, tell me the oboe story.
well, this might take a minute, but anyways, I went to a pretty serious classical music school. Also, I'm not going to name it because whatever.
Juilliard.
No, but actually, this reminds. I have to. How far should I go back?
Go back all the way. We have time.
We have time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we'll get back into the haunting.
All
in a
right.
second.
So when I first started playing guitar, when I was like in 7th or 8th grade, I had 2 buddies I played guitar with, and oh man, this actually goes way back. But I'll try to make it short for this purpose. So, guy named Grant, who initially he and I had beef, really didn't like this guy, but later became like my best friend. That happens sometimes.
Especially with guitar players.
Exactly. And another guy named Paul, who was initially Grant's friend, but we all kind of became friends together. And I had already had like a really cheap, crappy classical guitar that was given to me by my uncle. Shout out to Uncle Ruben. That was his name too.
Sick.
And he was like a manufacturing guy, worked in a big factory, handyman, all this stuff. And we went to his house one day, found this guitar in the closet. My brother and I started fucking with it, right? And he had no reason to have it. Like, I guess someone gave it to him as like a payment for some job when they didn't have money or something. He said, "Oh, you can have it." So I take the guitar home. I'm thinking like, I've just hit the lottery, man. I have this thing. What is this thing? You don't even know what you're really dealing with. I was really young at that time.
You're like when Geddy Lee finds the guitar in Rush 2112.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, like I felt like magic had been bestowed upon me, right? But it was so junky and so beat up. Like it had like 1 or 2 strings. It had steel strings when it should have been nylon strings. Someone abused this thing. So it wasn't really like workable, right? But that was when I was like really young. I don't know, like 5 to 7, somewhere in there.
How does this relate to hot oboe?
Well, I'll get there.
Okay.
This is kind of an origin story about me playing guitar now.
Okay.
But you told me we had time, so fuck it.
We have time. But
So anyways, then years later, and this is going to be a little bit revealing and vulnerable, but that's what we're here for, I think.
100%.
Maybe.
100%.
And then years later, my father, my beloved father, who was a great, great man, passed away when I was 12, 13, somewhere in there, had a heart attack, which is a whole other crazy story, which I will tell later as another time. And at this point, it's like we finished school for the year. We're in summer, and this tragedy has befallen my family, and, my mom was pretty young and she kind of didn't know what to do. It was a whole crazy situation. Shout out to my mom because she really made lemonade out of lemons. That's a very simple, polite way to say it. But, I started being able to like run amok a little bit more because this crazy family situation happened, right? And so I started hanging out with these guys, Grant and Paul. And I'm just picturing these guys. It's so funny. But basically, we're sitting on the deck of my pool back in Ohio with Grant. And we're fucking around with this nylon string guitar that really doesn't work very well. And, he just kind of looked at me and said, maybe we should like learn how to play the guitar. And I was like, well, I've been wanting to, man, but like, I didn't know what the hell to do, how to go about it. So like, I can picture this moment so vividly. Maybe we should play the guitar. And I bought into it and I went all in. And so this started the journey that now still is the forefront of my fucking life, right? So we'd fixed up that guitar, but it was still really junky. He convinced his mom to buy him a guitar. It was a Bentley, which is like an old knockoff brand, like a wannabe Strat, right? And I ended up getting a K-A-Y. I was also left-handed, so my mom bought me like the cheapest guitar.
That's a curse, just so
That's
you know.
also a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But my mom goes to the music store for my birthday, I think, buys me this K electric guitar with a little crappy amp and little strings, whatever. And I kept flipping it over because I'm left-handed. It just felt right, felt correct this way versus this way. Eventually, I got to a Strat. But anyways, the point of this is I met Paul because of Let's Go Play the Guitar. So we started learning Smashing Pumpkins, Nirvana, all that kind of stuff. We played a school talent show playing Sonic Youth.
You played Sonic Youth?
Yeah, a song from the Goo album. But this was my buddy Paul's influence, who was like super hipster. Like, I don't know where he got all these influences from.
It's just like fucked up tunings. And like
yeah, like we were in bumfuck
distortion.
Ohio, like in the middle of nowhere. And Sonic Youth is a very cool, hip, advanced kind of project, right?
Yeah, it is.
But so anyways, we start playing in this band. We start trying to get stuff going. And there's all kinds of stories I'm skipping over. But the reason why I bring this all up is because that's how I met Paul, who then was kind of a really artsy avant-garde kid. And he was like too artsy for our run-of-the-mill blue-collar high school. And his mom knew this, and she's like, and he started getting bullied at school because he looked different. He would dye his hair. He had like alternative clothes and all this stuff. He was kind of getting like kind of beat up and stuff. And so they said, we got to send him somewhere where he can like fit in and belong. So they sent him to an art school in Michigan. Now it turned out later, Paul was gay. And this is true.
Jesus Christ.
But like, I didn't know. It like went over my head, or I mean, because I didn't know what that was about.
I had some friends in high school that it was surprise gay. Like later, where you're like, surprise, I'm gay.
I mean, looking back on it, I probably should have figured it out, but I had no experience. I didn't know what I was dealing with.
As a kid, you wouldn't know what that is. Yeah,
I didn't. And I still love the guy to this day. There's nothing like. It's great to be whoever you are. For the record,
I had the opposite experience where I had friends that I never would have thought were gay at all. Like even looking back,
but that was my.
I didn't have. I
didn't
even have an indicator, and like suddenly they're like surprise. At
the time, I really didn't pick up on this at all. I think other people in the school might have picked up on it, which is maybe why he was getting picked on, which is really unfortunate and terrible.
Yeah, it's horrific,
and it should not have happened. But anyways, so he goes off to art school, and then he ends up having this roommate named Oleksiy, Oleksiy, I think.
Russian.
Okay. And he was like a gnarly master oboe player. Okay.
Really?
And he probably played a bunch of other stuff too. And
that's a double reed instrument, though, dude. That's like you could be good at other double reed instruments, but that's kind of a very specific thing. Do you know what I mean?
I'm going to take your word for that.
I'm just saying. That's a very
so then they're away at this art school. I'm just doing my normal school. I'm still trying to make music with the other guy, Grant, whatever. And then, I got fairly good fairly fast, and people started hating on me for being good. Believe it or not, that happens sometimes.
You're so fucking good, dude.
Oh, Jesus. It's hard. It's hard being me. It's very hard being me. That should have been the name of this podcast. But then they go away. So then they come back for like fall break or something, right? And Paul goes, hey, let's go to my older sister's house. We're all going to hang out, and I haven't seen you in a while. And I'm thinking, oh, great, I get to see my buddy I haven't seen in a while. We go over there. Now, Paul went away to this thing. It's almost like a little college, right? So he starts picking up habits that are also foreign to me, one of which is like getting drunk. I'd never really gotten drunk before. Like I had maybe a beer or something that I stole from somewhere, like from the pantry, right? But he's like, hey, my buddy Alexi's going to be there. My sister's going to be there. We won't have any parents around. And let's like have a little party, like a coming home party kind of thing. So they go buy like a couple bottles of the cheapest, shittiest vodka, like Kamchatka or whatever it is in the plastic.
Pop off.
Something like this, right? I've never really had any experience with this. So this is like a coming of age tale now. But anyway, by the way.
All this to get to a hot oboe player.
I know, this is a long drawn out thing. But also, Paul's sister was kind of attractive. I had a little bit of a crush on her. She was older. She was like maybe 20 or something. And I'm like 14, 15, somewhere there. And I'm like, man, Paul's sister's kind of good looking, Anyways, so we proceed to get basically really drunk. And it was like ignorance. I didn't know what I was dealing with. But Alexi's from like basically Russia or Ukraine or something.
So he's down for drinking.
He's been drinking for a while. Yeah. So he basically starts taking a shot for shot. And, it starts off like, whoa, what's this? And then it starts being really fun. And then it gets really intense and all this stuff, right? And then at some point in the night, everything kind of goes wrong. Paul has like an emotional breakdown, starts crying. I should have never gone to this art school. I miss you guys at home so much. I messed up our band, like, because I went away and all this stuff. And I'm laughing because I'm like giggly, like, because I have
you're at a different level of drunk and a different type of drunk.
Exactly. Different vibes, right? Alexi's all sitting over on the counter over there, like being very like kind of European about stuff and just like laughing at us, like what's wrong with these guys? Because we couldn't hold our alcohol. And
he's like, these fucking children.
Basically, yeah. And he was a little older too, right? So, so Paul ends up passing out. I hang out with them a little longer. I pass out. I'm thinking I'm okay. I wake up in the middle of the night, super sick, start throwing up in the bathroom. And, the sister came and like kind of comforted me. She's like rubbing my back. I'm like thinking, oh, this is a sign. She definitely wants me, but really she's probably just trying to prevent me from dying in her apartment. Right.
Yeah. As a 14-year-old.
Yeah. Because I'm like basically puking up blood probably at this point. And she's just trying to like salvage it. Right. So this is all backstory. Then I get to music school like a couple years later, and Alexi's fucking there, which is crazy to me, right? Because he came from far, far away, ended up in Michigan at my buddy's art school, then ended up at my music school in Ohio.
That is kind of weird.
I'm like, Alexi, what the hell's going on here, dude? And then I started this like weird little alternative ensemble. It was like me playing electric cello backwards, plugged through a crate amp with distortion, dude.
Sounds like a recipe for success right there.
See, we know marketing. We know how to put a package together. And then my other buddy was on turntables, and then we got this chick to play oboe in the thing. And I mean, I don't want to go into too much detail, but she had like perfect body, beautiful face, and she played oboe really well. And she's now in our ensemble thing. So I was crushing on this person. And then one day after our rehearsal, we finish and we're like, okay, see you guys next time. She walks off down the hall. And lo and behold, who's fucking there? Who picks her up from practice? Alexi. Picks her up, hugs her, grabs her ass, kisses her. And I'm like, no! How does Alexi always seem to like be one step ahead of me in everything in life?
He's better at drinking.
He's better at
getting chicks. Yeah.
Better musician. Perfect pitch, probably, for all we know.
Motherfucker.
I mean, that's pretty much the story, dude.
That's funny. So back to Renee. My
hell of a fucking sidebar there.
My hot sax playing girlfriend. Okay, so she would come over and stay often at night, and this was weird because she was over. We were hanging out. We were watching a movie, probably Good Will Hunting or something again, right?
Why are you so obsessed with this film?
No, because like we had like a pre-release copy for Blockbuster at the house that we kept passing around, and no one had seen it yet, so we were all watching it a lot. And that, and like Shawshank Redemption, a bunch of other movies. We only had very limited viewing because it was all VHS shit back then. So
tapes.
Yeah, it's probably like I think like 11 o'clock at night. Things are quieted down upstairs. The guys were partying and stuff before, playing pool. And like, we were very blessed. Like we had a house that had a pool table, a jukebox, a jacuzzi, and a trampoline while I was in college.
Ballin'.
So that's pretty ballin' for college. You know what I mean? Like it was.
Hashtag blessed.
Yeah, that was hashtag blessed for sure. So Renee tells me, she's like, hey, I'm going to come back and sleep here with you tonight, but like,
I don't want to watch Good Will Hunting again.
She's like, I don't want to watch fucking Good Will Hunting. No, she said, I got to go get a book for my test tomorrow that I left at my house. And she's like, I'll be back in like give me like 15 minutes. I'll be back. Cause her house was like, just like a mile away. She was going to run over, grab a couple things and fucking come back. And, she's like, do you think I'll wake anybody up? I'm like, no, just be quiet and like lock the door when you come back in. Shit'll be cool. So I'm staying there watching Good Will Hunting, watching Matt Damon figure out some fucking algorithm with all of his sexiness and fucking,
Were you touching yourself?
No. I had a chick there, dude. Stop. So then
it's never stopped you before.
So then I'm you're disgusting. So I'm there like half asleep. Renee comes walking back in, and she's white as fucking a ghost. And she comes and she sits down on the bed, and she goes, Tom, who's that kid in the living room? I'm like, there's not a kid in the living room. She's like, I think it's one of like, because one of my roommates was like a swim coach for like the middle school or something like that. She's like, I think it's one of Jay's kids like up there. And I go, why? She's like, well, there's this kid. He's dressed kind of weird and he's standing by the fireplace, like kind of shivering and stuff. And she's like, and I said something to him, but he wouldn't talk back to me. And I was like, okay. So I go upstairs to check it out. There is no kid. All the lights are off. But
this was also like someone else previously had said they saw a kid in there. Right?
Yes. This was a year before or something like that.
So when she tells you this though, because like the way you're telling it now is like you were very calm and you just said, okay, I'll go look at it. But do you immediately hearken back to the previous supposed sightings And does your kind of blood pressure and your nerves go up like, whoa, this ghost kid is back?
Yeah, but like it was such big spans of time between when things happen. Do you know what I mean? Like it would happen and then like it would feel like the temperature rose and like, you know how like in the middle of winter, you can't remember how summer was in Ohio. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's so cold that like you don't even remember what 95 degrees feels like. Imagine it being like 6 months or a year or something before it happens again. And you're like, I would do anything just to be 40 degrees again. Like you wouldn't for real, but like you don't even remember what that is. So I was like, oh, let's go check it out. Let's see what's going on. Now this is after the keys. This is after people running up and down the stairs. This is after Laurel had seen it. So I told Renee, I said, I don't know what happened. I don't know who was here, but I can't see anything. And she's like, I swear to fucking God, there was a chick or a kid standing in front of the fireplace, quiet. And I asked him what was going on. And he was wearing weird clothes. I didn't know why. I asked him about it. And she's like, and then I immediately came downstairs to tell you this. I go, okay. So that night, interestingly enough, Renee starts waking up and she's like, stop. And I'm like, what? She's like, stop doing that. And I'm like, I'm not fucking doing anything. What are you talking about? She's like, I need to sleep. I got to get up. I have a test in the morning. And I go, I know, babe. Like, what's the matter? And she's like, then why do you keep doing that? Why do you keep putting your finger in the middle of my back? And I'm like, you're facing me. And she like woke up like, what the fuck? And turned around to like look. And we turned on all the lights and everything. We're like, what's going on? Because she said she felt someone sticking like their index finger in her back like that. And
interesting.
And it like woke her up out of a dead fucking sleep. So that was pretty weird. I'm trying to think.
Was she using any illicit substances?
She didn't even drink. She was super like the fact that we were even like together and making out and doing the things we were doing at the time was like kind of a push for her, to be honest. Like that was a new material for her at the time because she was
pretty straight laced kids, huh?
We were some pretty
That's
straight.
good.
It's Utah, dude. There's a lot of pretty straight laced kids there. Now this comes to a point where there's like probably 3 or 4 more situations. So the next time I had a friend named Cammie who came over, would hang out with me, and she liked to sit and play my piano. I had a, do you know those old Yamaha like CP88s that like there's a lot of video right now of D'Angelo playing one. Like it's an electric piano that actually has strings. So when you play it, and they used to call it this Yamaha suitcase piano because you can fold it up and it's like the size of a large bass. And you can carry the whole piano in the legs in one like big ass bass case kind of thing. But it sets up, it has full length strings, like the whole night. So basically like there's a baby grand that's really muted if it's not plugged into an amplifier in my room. So Cammie could come over and practice her piano stuff. So she's hanging out. There was a couch on the other side of the piano, and I had a bed on the other side of the room with my TV and stuff like that on the other side of the room. So I'm sitting on the bed, Cammie's sitting on the couch at the end of the piano. We're talking and she's like, let's get the vibe in here. Let's listen to some Zeppelin or some Fleetwood Mac or something. And she's like, I'm going to light a couple candles. It'll be fucking cool. I'm like, all right, cool. She was a little bit hippie-ish, you know what I mean, at the time. So I'm sitting there. We're talking about how good like Lindsey Buckingham is a guitar or some shit, going back and forth. And all of a sudden I see something. And this is hard to fucking explain what this looks like to somebody. Like, all that I can say that I can relate it to, that's something that you can understand, is it looked like when the predator is clear and using camouflage, I saw something move across the piano that was kind of sheeny and scaly almost, like, and it would, like, people describe this as like glitch in the matrix stuff or something now, right? And I saw it go around Cammie's back. And she looks up and she goes, I'm not feeling so good. And as she said that, like cold air came out of her mouth. It was like a big blast of fucking cold air. And I was like, oh my God. And then she shivers like this and all the candles flickered like in the room. Whoa. And I reached over and grabbed, like slammed on the light as quick as I could. I'm like, what the fuck? And she got up, she was flushed. She was like red in the face, like from the fear. Like she was just overcome with some kind of fear, but I didn't see a thing. I saw a shape move behind her that was transparent, I guess you would say, in a way that had distortions in front of it, which is fucking strange to see.
That's trippy.
In one's bedroom, come across their piano and over the back of their couch. So that was weird. Yeah. So the next thing I can remember happening, this was one of the most aggressive things I think I can remember seeing with this entity, we'll call it. I had a friend that was the lead singer of my band who, before Jules was my sister, Jody was my sister. Like, we were that tight. We were like family. And it was just somebody who, like, really musically, we got everything together. Like, we knew each other very well. Jody knew all the modes. She knew how to sing all the harmony. Like, she was a very talented singer, and she could sing everything from, like, a Jewel at the time to, like, Korn.
Whoa.
She was, like, very, very, like, dynamic, great singer, and got everything. Like, she'd listen to Nine Inch Nails and go, oh, do you hear the Help Me and fucking I Want to Fuck You Like an Animal? What's that song called? Closer. She'd hear the Help Me and go, oh, do you hear that that's in seconds? Like, she would literally just be that quick on stuff. And it was awesome. Like, so Jody would often, like, we'd go to rehearsal, we'd come home, maybe have a couple drinks. I'd probably started drinking pretty regularly at this point.
Still on the dog?
Still on the dog. So a little bit of the JD.
Whoa.
A little bit of the Jose Cuervo.
Things are escalating.
They were escalating. Yeah. It's escalated to this day.
Still escalating.
Still escalating to my death. That's what's going on.
Hey, now.
So Jody would sleep over, but I didn't want her to sleep in the bed with me because I didn't want anybody to think anything. So she'd basically bring a sleeping bag and a pillow and a pad and, like, sleep like Japanese style on the floor.
That sounds fishy.
It was not fishy. So I was in bed. Jody was on the floor. We had worked on some music. We'd recorded a couple things on my 8-track, done all that shit.
Where was the little ghost boy sleeping at this time?
Apparently in this room, because here's what's going on. So it's the middle of the night. We both go to sleep. The TV's on. It's kind of like in that part of, you know, the end of a videotape where it just keeps, like, going through the credits and, you know, the black space at, like, the end. And it would rewind and play again, rewind and play again. So it was kind of like I remember waking up and seeing the end credits of a movie or something before the tape would start over. And this was really strange because, like, I heard Jody, like, struggling, like, and it kind of woke me up. And she was like, fuck, stop, like leave me alone. And I was like, it kind of, like, took it. So I was not facing her direction. I was facing the wall. She was on the floor and she was on the side of the bed that I wasn't facing. And I was like, hey, what's going on? And I had my eyes closed and still trying to understand. I was like, maybe she's just having a nightmare or, like, a dream or something like that. And then she's, like, screaming loud. And I'm like, what the fuck? And, like, I get up, I sit up in my bed, light switch is right at the end of the bed. I flick it on and I look over, and the sleeping bag that she's in, she's kind of still asleep with her head, like, on the ground, but her legs are up off the ground at, like, a 40. What's this angle right here? Like, if this is square, what's that?
It's like a 45
degree angle. Like, her legs are like someone's holding her legs up. It was really, really fucking
Actually,
weird.
that's maybe more like 30, 35.
Well, whatever.
She
was at, like, she was at an angle, and I was, like, freaked out, and I go, Jody, what the fuck? What's going on? And she's like, she screams, and, like, the top half of her body came up, and then she slammed back down on the ground. And I was like, wow.
That's out of a movie right there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And, like, but all these things, do you see what I'm saying? Like, this is stuff that, like, I'd never seen a movie with the stuff in it before. So, like, between the keys and the legs up and the clear predator thing behind Cammy and, like, the change stuff, know that, like, I didn't believe in any of this shit at the time. And this is all crazy new, like, information for me. This is a new era of me believing in this kind of shit. And nothing has happened before this or since this that's anything like this.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to, like, figure out, There's one more thing I think I can remember. And this was probably a year and a half later. Everyone had moved out of this house. Everyone who used to be in like our party house and living there had gone away. My friend had gotten married who owned the house to his girlfriend, and they were living there. And they were going to be out of town. My band at the time got a gig back in our hometown for 2 nights. And I said, hey, Adam, are you and Darcy going to be home this week? And he's like, no. We'll be gone. If you guys want to come down from Salt Lake, where we were living, me and Jody and a bunch of other people that had been there before want to come down and play and like do the show, come through, stay with us. Like, we'll leave keys out for you, the whole 9 yards. Great. Free place to stay for a band. You know, that's fucking awesome. Clutch, stoked. So I'm like, didn't want to say anything about the haunting shit to anyone who was staying with me. I was like, I'm going to keep that to myself. Maybe we just have a good time. So the band plays. We do the first night, the second night. We're partying a lot. We had friends over after. Everyone's largely up to like 4 o'clock in the morning kind of thing. The next morning we get up. This is Sunday morning. Getting ready to pack up and go back to Salt Lake. And I'm like, hey, how did everybody sleep? Because I was passed out. Like, I was dead asleep. I was so tired from playing a 4-hour show and then coming back to the place. And my friends who slept upstairs, I slept downstairs, they go, well, that depends on how many times you guys went to the bathroom last night. We're like, what do you mean? They're like, well, about 20 times last night, somebody came in and flushed the toilet and turned on the shower and did all this crazy shit. And we heard stomping around, and we thought it was you guys coming up from downstairs to use the bathroom. We couldn't figure out why you were doing it because there's a bathroom downstairs. And I was like, I never came up and used the bathroom. They were like, well, that's kind of weird because all night all I heard was people walking around and the shower coming off and on, the lights going off and on, and the toilet flushing. So that was the last time I ever stayed there ever again. And that's kind of the story. That's the epic haunting of my life that happened. And not since then have I had any experiences like that. I've lived in a place where like the energy was a little off and something else happened before. But this is just the most egregious, like Conjuring style, Paranormal Activity 2 style, like thing that's ever happened to me. And all that I can assume is that it's a kid that's there, that's fucking around. There was times when like things would happen where like the TV would come on in the middle of the day and you could literally go, hey, turn that fucking thing off right now. Fucking do it. TV would go back off. Like you could yell at it and see reactions. There was that, but that's really all I remember like from this time.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
Did you ever research that home or that area or anything, or try to like get to the bottom of anything, or you just let it roll?
I just let it roll, but I mean, the house would have been, this is what I did see at that house that was concerning to me. 2 other events happened. Like there's one thing that's concerning, and there's another event that happened that was weird that, I don't know if I can roll that into this, but so there was one time we went out into the garage, and the garage was not a place where like we spent a ton of time, but somebody rolled down the garage door and there was a bunch of weird, like anti-religious, like upside down cross and like Nazi type stuff, like in the garage, like spray painted around. So I don't know, like literally when
inside of it?
Yes. When you put the garage door down, there was like, and somebody had tried to cover it up and like spray over it, but you could see beneath it, like what had been drawn on there before. So there was like some weird, like upside down cross, 666, and like Nazi, like swastikas and things like that, like on the back, like of the garage door. And nobody that lived there with me or anything was involved in anything like that. There was never any. And the other thing that happened there that was really strange is we had a dog that was crazy. His name was Dutch. And Dutch was what you would call, he's probably half cattle dog, half Australian shepherd. And he lived outside. And he was on a chain, and he lived in the backyard and had a house and had the whole 9 yards. And when I was with the girl, Renee, the sax player we were talking about, like, I was at a gig one night, probably about 50 or 60 miles from where we lived. And I got a call and she's like, I need to talk to you. And I'm like, what? And she called the bar. So like, this is back in the day where like, I didn't have a cell phone. Like she called the bar.
The good old days.
Yeah. Back when you couldn't track anyone. It was awesome. But no, she called the bar and she's crying and freaking out. And apparently like the dog for some reason had jumped over the fence with his chain on and hung himself.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah, like he jumped over the fence.
What was the dog's name?
His name was Dutch.
Oh, you told me that. Shout out to Dutch.
Dutch, like,
R.I.P.
we somehow managed to jump over a fence during this time in this house. When Renee was there, she had experience with it. I had experience with it. I'm not saying that's related. I mean, he might have jumped up. He might have jumped on top of his house, then jumped over the fence, or whatever it was. But he was an uncontrollable dog that would have dug his way out of anything. He was nuts. But yeah, it was really a strange time and a strange situation. But this was the 90s in rural Utah.
What was the span of time overall?
So that last thing I told you about was probably like 4 or 5 years later with the toilets and the sinks and stuff like that. So, because basically we had a party house where me and all my friends lived and we had that whole time together. And then my one friend who owned the house, he got married. He lived there with his wife and had a separate life after that. And that's when my band stayed there.
Oh, I didn't quite pick up on that.
So a couple years. So a couple years later.
So you had semi or seemingly paranormal experiences as a tenant and later as a visitor.
Yes, and it happened over. This was all over the course. We're talking about 4 years here, and see, people are like, "Why the fuck didn't you just move out?" Well, this shit would happen. You'd be fucked up about it for a day. And then nothing would happen for 6 months or a full year.
So these ghosts knew how to not like oversaturate the audience there to spook them to peace out.
No, it was never. But what I will say is that ghosts are annoying. Like because
hashtag ghosts are annoying.
If they're stealing your keys and they're flushing the toilet all night and they're running up the power bill. And do you know what I mean? Like it was more of a like, what the fuck is going? Like, why won't this stop happening? When you could yell at it and the TV would turn off and stuff like that.
Well, this makes me think of a few things. One, did you ever ask the dude who bought the house later, your buddy? Like
he's actually my brother-in-law now, so that's a complicated.
We got to get him on the podcast and ask him about this.
He never thought he experienced anything there.
Really?
Yes, and like he thinks I'm a nut for saying that.
Who else did he live with there? Your sister or something?
No, my sister never lived in that house. He was married prior to my sister. Actually, my sister met my best friend from college. We lived together out here about 10 houses from here.
Whoa.
Yeah, so like we lived together. She came out to visit me, met him, they hooked up, and it's been magic ever since.
Magical.
No, literally, they've been together for
what are their
20
names?
years. Colleen and Adam.
Shout out to Colleen and Adam.
Yeah, keeping it together 20 years.
Wow, that's amazing. But coming back to the thing, so the dude who bought the house, Adam, never experienced anything.
Never.
He's telling you you're crazy. Why you think that? That's unreal, whatever. Okay, so there's that. What was the other thing I was going to say? I don't know. I think it would be interesting. I don't know if you can do this now, but around that time, it would have been cool to look up the history of the building and the area. Like maybe someone like actually died there. Maybe you could have found something that would be like a lead towards who these ghosts were.
What's interesting is before Adam owned this house, my family had owned the house.
Oh.
Prior. A long ass.
It just gets deeper and deeper.
Yeah, a long ass time ago. So I don't know if this is like residual relatives or like what this is. And keep in mind, like in Utah, there's a lot of weird shit due to like pioneers. Do you know what I mean? Like with the first people to populate Utah that came out in wagons.
Gold diggers?
Not gold diggers. They were just religious people trying to relocate because they're being largely tortured and abused for their beliefs.
Oh dear.
So
I hate that.
Well, Mormons, I mean, and that's what the thing is. But Mormonism is another
I would just like to
topic.
say to the people all around the world, stop torturing people for their beliefs. It's just not cool, man.
Yeah. I mean, you can believe whatever you want to believe as long as it
don't
doesn't
hurt other
affect anyone
people.
else. Yeah. Don't hurt other people.
Stay in your lane. Don't hurt other people.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Very fascinating, Tom. I feel like there should be a next step though. Like I wanna learn more. Me as a guy who likes to diagnose and troubleshoot and solve problems, I'm like, I want to get to the bottom of this, but maybe there's no way to do that. I don't know. We could have the dude on, Adam.
Yeah, but Adam never saw anything.
Well, maybe we need to interrogate him a little harder.
We could interrogate my dad too, because he used
Let's
to own,
interrogate your dad.
he owned the house like I think 10 years before Adam bought it. It's interesting.
Maybe he's holding out on you.
My dad's the key to the haunting.
I mean, I'm thinking of all kinds of ridiculous, outlandish, possible things that could have happened to lead to this, but I don't even want to say it because it's so speculative.
Yeah, and I mean, I just want to tell like a scary story for spooky season for everybody, and put something out there that like is a real thing for me. That like, every once in a while somebody asks me about the paranormal or the supernatural, and this is where my brain goes to because know this, guys, I'm not religious. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in...
I thought you were the Reverend.
I am a Reverend, but for the Church of Universal Life, and I only got that because when I was a wedding DJ, I needed to get a certification in case the minister didn't show up.
You were the backup.
I was the backup,
Nice.
and that's why I became Reverend Tom Chandler, and that was about 2003 or 4.
Well, I just learned something because I just always thought that was like just some branding... cool stuff you did,
branding shit, no.
To be like, I'm like the pastor of creating music or something.
No, it's not that.
But it's a real thing.
No, and like a lot of the older guys from back in the day when I started doing production in about 2009, 2007, something like that, they still call me Rev. They don't even call me Tom anymore.
Wow.
Because I had just gotten that a couple years earlier and had been subbing for ministers and for officiants for weddings because in LA shit happens. Like, someone's coming over to Panga Canyon, a car wreck happens, a fire breaks out. I'm the only person there. All the people are at the wedding. It needs to happen between 4 and 9, so I'm the one that's doing
It's good
the
to always have a contingency plan for sure.
So I was the backup a lot of the times, and that's where the Rev comes
So
from.
have you married some people then?
Yes, a couple people. Yeah.
Like 2?
Or
like 4?
4 or 5, something like that. But they just hand me the folder with everything in it. I'd read through it, and we do the wedding. Yeah.
I mean, this is great. I'm learning a lot here today. I'm all about learning. So all of that being said, I think the quintessential question here is, Tom Chandler, Reverend Tom Chandler, do you believe in ghosts?
I do. I think that what I was experiencing seemed like a residual haunting with some mild poltergeist type activity, which is shadows of something that existed there before that are in the background or on a different timeline or something to us that coexist with us and don't rear their head every day. It's not something like that. It's like there's times when maybe that distance between the timelines or the veil of the alive and dead is thinner. And I feel like...
Ooh, I like that. That's like a lyric
Do you see what I'm saying? Like that when that little veil is thinner, that things can poke through.
The membrane becomes more permeable.
Yeah. And I saw that a couple times. But swear to God, guys, nothing like that since. Nothing like that before. I don't believe in that shit. Like half the ghost shit I see online is hoaxes and stuff like that. I'm not one of those true believers. I'm not a religious person. I don't think there's a devil or the God or anything like that. So.
Well, that sounds like also a deeper conversation for another day. Would you like for like a ghost to visit you?
I'm kind of over that, and
kinda
like
over it.
Honestly, like since I moved into this place we're in now, the one comment that everyone has said that came here, because my last place, it wasn't necessarily haunted, but there was a dark energy to it. People come in here and they're like, it's bright, it's light, it's fun. Like everything feels different here than it did before.
I agree. And I was there.
You were there. That's what I'm saying.
And I could say a few things about that. But on a superficial level, just in terms of light and dark, I mean, your actual studio, the windows were blocked out. So it was dark and the walls were red and the trim was black or whatever. So it was kind of like a little bit of a dark foreboding vibe, but I thought this is appropriate for like some heavy dark music, which is cool. So I didn't take it negatively, but it was a little dark. Yeah.
But it's strange how here it does feel just brighter and happier. Do you know what I mean?
I agree, but
yeah.
a part of it is the actual
Physicality
situation of the fact that you got, some good light coming in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anyways, so that's pretty interesting. There's some, theories out there about this is a whole other topic as well, like aliens, which we don't have to go into now,
Mm-hmm.
but I've heard, various people saying that, maybe aliens are always around us in some way.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't make themselves known, or the timing isn't right, or maybe the people that are around the aliens don't have the right senses or the right open-mindedness or whatever to be able to you have to have an interface, right, between worlds or between people. Maybe sometimes the interface isn't congruent with the other one, or maybe they're just not making themselves known. It could be interdimensional for all we know,
Mm-hmm.
right? And some people are more capable of reaching into another dimension than others.
Mm-hmm.
There's a pretty interesting podcast that I've heard a little bit of. I think it's called, oh man, am I going to space on it? Called Telepathy Tapes.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to check this out, actually.
Probably would like it.
But they have a ton of evidence of humans communicating remotely and telepathically with other humans, sometimes in their family, sometimes not. A lot of the people that are, at least as far as the part I've heard, they're autistic and they can't communicate through normal means, like speaking very well or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But they can literally read their parents' minds or send messages to their parents into their minds or vice versa. It's a trip. And so the thought is that because their sense of communication and speech is diminished
mm-hmm.
because of their state.
The telepathic state.
Yeah, they've strengthened
enhanced.
this other muscle because a different muscle is kind of, not functioning or whatever. But I'm bringing that up simply because you were talking about the concept of permeable membranes between dimensions, and it's not always perceivable.
Mm-hmm. This honestly, if I were to say how it felt like a timeline between the past with the kid and how everybody saw that, and
mm-hmm.
our timeline that we were currently on.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like there was something crossing between those two things, and it was trying to show us maybe trauma or confusion or chaos that had happened back then.
Well, that's kind of like the general concept of ghosts coming back and showing themselves, right? At least in movies. But mm-hmm. Imagine that, this ghost boy child that you talked about.
Could have been an alien.
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but
or
that's
another person.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But what if that individual can't communicate in normal fashion? The only thing it can do is sort of show up, be present, mm-hmm. and kind of try to get your attention. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And maybe it's because their life was cut short. They still have more to say. They feel like their life's mission wasn't completed.
Or maybe it's someone with heavy autism that always was frustrated with the lack of communication.
Maybe.
And because everyone said the boy they saw said nothing to them.
Yeah.
And he seemed sweaty or stressed or something like that. Do you know what I mean? So that's all interesting stuff. But I think we should wrap it up for today. What do you think?
I'm not opposed.
Okay. We're going to wrap up. This is TC and the Wolf. We have brought you this podcast. This is our virgin podcast.
Inaugural.
Cherry is popped.
Maiden voyage.
Champagne bottle. All right.
Please send us some feedback. And it's been real. It's been great talking to you, Tom.
Yep. Good talking to you too, Nick. I will see you guys later. Peace.